The night sky was calm, filled with stars that glittered above the quiet cities. Families slept peacefully, unaware of the storm about to arrive. In the silence of space, massive ships moved closer to Earth. They were not meteors, not comets, but machines of war, cold and merciless. The aliens had been watching Earth for centuries. To them, humanity was weak, divided, always fighting each other. They thought Earth would be easy to conquer. They believed humans would bow in fear, as so many other species had before them. High above the clouds, the first alien ship entered the atmosphere. Its surface glowed with strange light, heat trailing behind it. People who saw it thought it was a falling star. Children made wishes, while news channels prepared quick reports. But in secret rooms of governments, alarms were already ringing. Leaders had known this day might come. Satellites had seen the fleet moving, and now it was too late to hide. In a deserted field, the ground shook as the first ship landed. The metal was dark, shaped like a predator from the deep ocean. A ramp lowered, and creatures stepped out. Their bodies were tall, armored, with eyes that burned like fire. Their voices echoed in the night, strange, metallic, filled with arrogance. They spoke to the humans nearby. Kneel and live as slaves, or resist and be erased. Panic spread through the town close by. Lights flickered as alien machines cut power lines. Soldiers rushed to the area, weapons ready, hearts filled with fear, but also courage. The first bullets bounced off alien armor. The creatures laughed, their strange voices mocking the humans. To them, it was a game to crush this small species. But the humans did not run. Even when their weapons failed, they attacked again. They fought with fire, with steel, with determination in their eyes. Across the world, more ships landed. Cities woke to explosions and fire in the sky. Governments tried to communicate, but the aliens had blocked signals. The world seemed cut off, alone, trapped under a dark net. Yet humanity was not broken. In every nation, in every city, people came together. Neighbors who never spoke before stood side by side. Old enemies forgot old wars. Because in that moment, they were not just nations. They were Earth, and they were fighting for survival. The aliens had crushed hundreds of worlds before, but they had never faced humans. They did not understand the human heart. They did not know that even in fear, humans burned with fire. Every attack made humanity stronger. Every life lost became a reason to fight harder. Soldiers, scientists, doctors, farmers, even children, all became part of the resistance. In underground bunkers, hidden for years, secret projects were activated. Old scientists whispered, "It is time." Doors opened, revealing machines humans had built in silence. Weapons not shown to the public, created in fear of a future invasion. The aliens had power, but Earth had preparation. Not enough to win yet, but enough to fight back. The first true battle began in the ruins of a coastal city. Alien walkers marched through the streets, crushing cars and buildings. Humans fired missiles, tanks roared, drones filled the sky. For every building destroyed, humans built barricades with their bare hands. For every soldier who fell, 10 more rose in rage. The aliens began to notice something different. This was not a weak species. This was not prey. This was something else, something dangerous. As the night turned to morning, smoke filled the sky. The sun rose, but its light was blocked by alien ships. People stared at the sky and whispered prayers. Not for peace, not for mercy, but for strength. Because now they understood this was not just invasion. This was a test of what it meant to be human. Far above, in the alien command ship, their leader watched. He expected Earth to fall in hours. But instead, he saw resistance everywhere. He narrowed his eyes for the first time in centuries. A thought touched his mind, a dangerous thought. What if this world will not break? And down below, in the heart of the chaos, a single message spread across the world. Words carried on radios, on whispers, on screams of defiance. They came to conquer Earth, but we will not bow. The war for humanity had just begun. The aliens thought the first battles would end in seconds. They had fought many species before, and none had resisted. To them, humans were just another primitive race, divided and unprepared. But when their soldiers marched into the first cities, they were surprised. The streets were empty, buildings dark, as if the humans had fled. Alien commanders laughed, ordering their troops to burn what they found. Flames rose high, glass shattered, and alien war machines roared through the ruins. Yet behind the silence, humans were watching, waiting for the right moment. From rooftops, from tunnels, from hidden basements, resistance fighters appeared. They had no great weapons, only rifles, explosives, and courage. But they attacked with speed, vanishing into shadows before the aliens could strike back. The invaders were not afraid, but they were annoyed. This was not the easy victory they had promised their leader. In one city, an alien warlord broadcast his voice through the streets. Humans surrender and live, resist and vanish, he said, his voice like thunder. But his message was cut short when a missile slammed into his command tower. The blast echoed for miles, shaking the ground. For the first time, the aliens realized they were being hunted. The human armies had joined with civilians. Doctors turned into medics. Engineers became weapon makers. Farmers carried rifles. Children carried messages through broken streets. Every person had a role, and every death fueled the fire of resistance. In the forests, guerrilla fighters struck quickly and disappeared. In the deserts, hidden bases launched drones at alien patrols. In the mountains, old tunnels were turned into fortresses. No place on Earth was silent. No place without the will to fight. The aliens unleashed their energy weapons, burning entire districts. Buildings fell, screams filled the air, but humans did not stop. Even in fire, even in ruin, they attacked again and again. The aliens killed thousands, but for each human that fell, 10 more rose. It was not a war of technology anymore. It was a war of spirit. One alien captain wrote in his report, "They should be broken, but they are not." He could not understand why humans, with such weak weapons, fought like predators. His soldiers began to whisper, calling humans the cursed species, because every battle against them was like walking into a trap. And the more they fought, the more they feared. In the ruins of a coastal city, a turning point came. The aliens marched with heavy machines, their armor shining under fire. But humans had prepared something special. An underground team hacked into alien signals. They turned the enemy's drones against them. And for the first time, alien machines fired on their own masters. The battlefield turned into chaos, and humans took the chance. They swarmed the invaders, striking from every direction. The warlord who had sworn to burn the city was dragged down by a storm of human fire. When the smoke cleared, the humans stood on the ruins. They were bleeding, tired, broken, but alive. The aliens had lost hundreds of warriors, and worse, they had lost pride. Word spread fast through the alien ranks. This species was not weak. This species was not prey. There was something else, something that fought with a madness no other race carried. From space, the alien leader watched in silence. He had expected a swift victory, but Earth was resisting with a fury unknown to the galaxy. He clenched his fists, ordering more troops to land. But deep inside, a small shadow of fear touched his mind. For the first time, he wondered if they had underestimated humanity. Down on the ground, humans carried their wounded, buried their dead, and prepared again. No one thought of surrender. No one thought of peace. They knew the truth now. The aliens had come not to rule, but to destroy. And so every man, woman, and child swore the same vow. They came to conquer Earth, but we will make sure none survive. The aliens had landed in dozens of cities, burning homes, destroying armies, and filling the skies with smoke. They believed Earth was already theirs, a broken world waiting to kneel. But beneath the surface, humanity was preparing something the invaders could not imagine. For years, secret programs had been hidden in underground bases. Scientists worked in silence, building machines they hoped they would never need. Weapons too dangerous to show the world, projects locked behind steel doors. Now, as alien fire rained from the skies, those doors opened, and humanity revealed its hidden strength. In a bunker deep below the mountains, a team of engineers stood before a giant machine. It was not sleek like alien technology, it was rough, heavy, and full of scars from countless tests. But it worked. It was the first human energy cannon, built to pierce even the toughest alien armor. With shaking hands, the scientists passed control to soldiers. And when the weapon fired, the night sky lit up like a second sun. An alien ship that hovered above the city was torn apart in one shot. Its burning wreckage crashed into the sea, and for the first time, humans cheered louder than they screamed. Across the world, more hidden projects came alive. In one desert base, swarms of AI-guided drones lifted into the air. They were small, fragile, but fast, and they cut through alien patrols like a storm of steel. In another secret lab, cyber soldiers, humans enhanced with technology, were awakened. They had volunteered years ago, giving their bodies to science for the sake of Earth's future. Now they rose, ready to fight, half human and half machine. The aliens thought they were the masters of war, but they had never faced humans who turned their own bodies into weapons. In the ruined cities, resistance fighters now carried new tools. Pulse rifles, stolen alien gear reprogrammed by engineers. Explosives designed to shatter the shields the invaders once thought unbreakable. Every street became a battlefield, every house a fortress, and every civilian became part of the war. Children passed messages through tunnels. Old men guarded rooftops. Women built traps in the alleys. The whole planet was alive with resistance. The aliens were confused. They had crushed countless worlds, and none had stood for long. But here, every day of war made the humans stronger. Every failure became a lesson. Every battle became a warning. Alien commanders argued with each other. Some said Earth must be destroyed completely. Others warned that destroying it would waste its resources. But deep down, they were afraid of something new. They were afraid of human will. In one battle, a captured alien officer was dragged before a group of resistance leaders. His armor was broken, his face twisted in pain. Still, he laughed. "You cannot win. You are ants fighting giants," he hissed. But the human commander leaned close and whispered, "Even ants can kill giants if they bite enough." The alien's laughter faded, and for the first time, his eyes showed fear. Far away, in orbit, the alien general watched as reports came in. He slammed his fist against the table, furious. "These creatures fight like demons. They do not surrender. They do not fear death," he growled. Another officer replied in a low voice, "Perhaps we should fear them." The general silenced him, but the words echoed in his mind. What if this invasion was not conquest, but a trap for his own army? On the ground, humans continued to push back. The secret weapons gave them hope. The resistance gave them fire. And for the first time in the war, the aliens retreated from a battlefield. The world watched in awe as footage spread. A human soldier standing on top of a fallen alien machine, raising the Earth flag above the ruins. That image spread like wildfire, uniting people across every border. No longer were they divided by nations, religion, or politics. They were one species standing together, fighting for their home. And as the world roared in unity, one truth became clear. Humanity was not the prey the aliens thought. They were predators, patient, clever, and merciless when pushed to the edge. The invaders had come to conquer. But now, they had awakened something far more dangerous. A united Earth, armed with fury and ready to fight until the last breath. The war had raged for weeks, and the aliens still believed they could crush Earth. They had more ships, more weapons, more soldiers than humanity could ever match. But numbers did not win this war, not against humans. Because humans had something the invaders never understood: unity. At first, the aliens tried to fight each nation separately. They believed humans would stay divided, as they always had. But the invasion changed everything. Borders meant nothing now. Politics meant nothing. For the first time in history, Earth fought as one. Every army, every city, every person stood together. It was no longer America or China or Africa or Europe. It was simply humanity. This unity confused the aliens. They sent their strongest warlord to break the humans apart. He marched across ruined lands with towering machines. He believed fear would shatter human courage. But everywhere he went, humans resisted. Villages he burned rose again. Cities he crushed rebuilt their defenses in days. Even the weakest carried stones to block alien tanks. Even the youngest carried water to the fighters in the streets. In one great battle, the warlord ordered his fleet to surround a human stronghold. The walls of the city were broken, the people starving, the soldiers nearly out of ammunition. It should have been an easy victory. But when the aliens advanced, they walked into a storm. Humans had set traps in every alley, explosives under every road. When the first alien machines entered, the ground erupted in fire. Soldiers rained bullets and rockets from rooftops. Drones swarmed the skies, guided by AI stolen from alien tech. The invaders fought hard, but they were fighting not against an army. They were fighting against an entire species. The battle lasted days, and when the smoke cleared, the warlord's fleet was gone. The city still stood, wounded but alive, and the people raised their flag above the ruins. That moment became a message to the whole world. Humans could not only resist, they could win. Across the alien ranks, fear began to spread. Their commanders shouted that humans were weak, but their soldiers whispered another truth: that humans were predators, that humans were the hunters now. Some alien soldiers refused to fight, some even deserted, because every time they faced humans, they saw the same thing: eyes that never broke, spirits that never bent. In a hidden base deep in the Arctic, human leaders gathered. They watched footage from across the globe, and for the first time, they believed victory was possible. They planned together, sharing weapons, sharing knowledge, sharing hope. Nations that had been enemies now fought side by side. Old wounds were forgotten, because survival mattered more than pride. Meanwhile, the aliens sent messages back to their homeworld. They begged for reinforcements. They begged for stronger weapons. But their leaders were silent. Perhaps they believed the invasion would still succeed. Or perhaps they feared sending more soldiers into the jaws of humanity. One captured alien whispered to his interrogator, "We thought you were prey, but you are something else. You fight not to live, but to prove you cannot be broken." His words spread through the resistance like fire. Every human soldier carried those words in their heart. They were not weak. They were not prey. They were the storm that the galaxy had never seen before. The tide of war was turning. Earth was no longer just surviving. It was striking back. And for every battle the aliens lost, their fear grew. For every city humans saved, their courage grew. The balance had shifted. The hunters had become the hunted. The aliens had expected open battles, grand victories, and easy conquest. But after their first defeats, the war changed. It was no longer about who had the largest ships or the most powerful weapons. It became a war of shadows, fought in silence, in darkness, and in the ruins of Earth's cities. Humanity learned quickly. They could not win by standing in the open, not against alien firepower. So they struck from the shadows, hit and vanished before the invaders could react. Guerrilla fighters turned streets into traps, forests into battlefields, deserts into hunting grounds. Every environment on Earth became a weapon, and every human became a fighter. Alien patrols marched through ruined streets, their armor shining, their weapons glowing. But they never felt safe, because a sniper's bullet could cut them down at any second, because explosives could tear apart their machines without warning. because every alley, every doorway, every rooftop could hide enemies. The invaders began to fear silence. They began to fear the dark, because that was where humans waited. In one night raid, a small group of resistance fighters sneaked into an alien base. They carried no advanced weapons, only stolen explosives and knives. They cut the power, set charges, and disappeared into the shadows. Moments later, the base erupted in flames. Dozens of alien soldiers died without ever seeing the enemy. And by morning, the humans were gone. All that remained was a burned ruin and fear in the hearts of the survivors. The aliens tried to respond with more firepower. They bombed entire districts, turned forests to ash, collapsed mountains with their cannons. But it did not stop the resistance. For every base destroyed, 3 more appeared. For every fighter killed, 10 more rose with rage in their hearts. It was not a war they could win with strength alone. It was a war of will, and in that, humanity was unbeatable. The war spread into space. Human pilots launched stolen ships and turned them into weapons. They flew into alien fleets like burning arrows, striking before being destroyed. Even the stars above became part of the battlefield. Space stations were armed, satellites were hacked, and human crews drifted in silence, waiting to ambush alien ships from the shadows of planets. The alien general grew restless. Reports from across the world spoke of endless attacks, endless sabotage, endless fear. He shouted at his officers, demanding answers. How can they fight everywhere? How can they strike when they have nothing? He roared, but no officer could answer. Because the truth was simple. Humans were not fighting for conquest or glory. They were fighting for survival. And survival made them stronger than any empire. In one of the darkest nights of the war, the humans pulled off their greatest act of sabotage. They hacked into the alien supply lines, turning entire fleets of drones against their masters. For hours, the skies were filled with chaos, alien ships firing on each other while humans watched from the ground. By morning, hundreds of alien machines were gone, and the humans had not lost a single soldier in that battle. The aliens were stunned. This had never happened before, not on any other world. They had always been the hunters, the predators, the conquerors. But here, on Earth, they were being hunted, and in their hearts, a new fear grew. A fear that they had awakened something unstoppable. In the ruins of a fallen city, a human leader stood before his people. He raised his voice so the survivors could hear. They came to erase us, but now they are the ones running, he said. His words spread through radios, whispers, and screens across the world. And every human who heard them felt the fire in their chest grow stronger. The War of Shadows was far from over. But one thing was clear. Humanity was no longer fighting to survive. They were fighting to win. And the galaxy would soon learn a truth that would never be forgotten. That in the darkness, in the ruins, in the shadows of war, humans were the most dangerous predators of all. The alien general had lost patience. His armies were bleeding, his soldiers afraid, and his fleet shrinking. He had promised his masters a quick victory, but Earth refused to kneel. So he made one last command. He would gather every ship, every weapon, every soldier left, and he would end humanity in a single strike. The skies over Earth grew dark as the alien armada formed. Thousands of warships, their lights glowing like cold stars, filled the heavens. They blocked the sun, casting shadows across oceans and continents. For the first time since the invasion began, silence spread through human camps. Everyone knew this would be the final stand. If they failed now, Earth would burn. In hidden bunkers, human leaders spoke. Their voices shook, but their words carried strength. There is no retreat, no surrender, only victory or extinction, they said. And across the world, soldiers, civilians, and children lifted their eyes to the sky. They were afraid, but their fear turned into fire. They were ready to fight, even if it meant death. When the alien fleet descended, Earth answered. Missiles roared from underground silos. Fighter jets screamed into the sky. Drones swarmed like angry bees. Satellites fired beams of light. And from the oceans, hidden submarines unleashed storms of fire. The first wave of alien ships was torn apart before they could strike. But more came, endless waves of steel and flame. In space, the battle was chaos. Human ships were small and fragile compared to alien war cruisers. But they moved with speed, with desperation, with fury. Every pilot knew they might not return. Yet they dive into battle like hunters chasing prey. Some crashed their ships directly into enemy vessels, turning themselves into living weapons. The sky burned with fire as ships exploded. The stars themselves seemed to vanish under the storm of war. On the ground, alien machines marched through cities, their claws tearing through buildings, their cannons shaking the earth. But humans met them at every corner. Soldiers with pulse rifles, civilians with homemade bombs. Children carried water to the wounded, while old men pulled triggers on stolen alien guns. It was not just an army fighting, it was an entire planet. Every street, every rooftop, every shadow became a weapon. In one decisive moment, the humans revealed their last secret, a weapon hidden since the beginning of the war. A massive cannon powered by the energy of the earth itself. It rose from beneath the mountains, glowing brighter than the sun. And with one blinding shot, it tore through the alien command ship. The explosion lit the sky, shaking both Earth and the heavens. Alien voices cried out in shock. Their leader was gone, their command shattered. The alien fleet wavered. Without their general, without their pride, they lost control. Humans pressed harder. Every fighter, every drone, every cannon unleashed fire. Ships that once seemed invincible fell like burning meteors. The oceans swallowed them. The mountains crushed them. The cities tore them apart. For hours, the battle raged, until finally, silence returned. The skies cleared, the smoke drifted away, and Earth still stood, scarred, broken, but alive. The aliens had thrown everything into their final strike. But humanity had not only survived, they had triumphed. The world stood together on the ruins, their bodies tired, their homes destroyed, their hearts heavy with loss. But above all, their spirits unbroken, because they had faced the greatest empire in the galaxy, and they had won. From that day, the stars were no longer a mystery. They were a warning, and humanity understood that this victory was not the end. It was only the beginning, because if the galaxy held more enemies like these, then Earth would be ready. They had stood against extinction, and they had endured, and now they would never bow to anyone again. The war was over. The skies were quiet. The alien fleet reduced to ashes drifting above Earth. Cities burned, mountains scarred, oceans poisoned with wreckage. But humanity still stood, and that meant victory. In every ruined street, survivors lifted their heads. They saw the smoke rising, they saw the broken walls. And yet, they also saw their flag still flying. It was a symbol stronger than any weapon. It told the world that even against impossible odds, humans had endured. Families gathered in silence, mourning those who had fallen. Soldiers buried their comrades under shattered buildings. Children wept for parents, parents wept for children. The cost of survival was heavy, but the people knew the sacrifice was not in vain. Because Earth was free, in hidden chambers deep underground, leaders met again. They were no longer presidents or kings or generals. They were simply humans speaking as one species. Their voices carried the same truth. The aliens are gone, but this war is only the beginning. For they all knew the galaxy was vast. If one empire had come, then others would follow. And humanity had to be ready. Scientists studied the wreckage of alien ships, engines that could travel between stars, weapons powered by strange energy, technology that could change the future of Earth forever. What had once been impossible was now in human hands. And with it came both hope and danger, because the same tools that saved them could also destroy them. It was a choice humanity would have to make carefully. Across the alien survivors' last transmissions, one truth echoed. Do not return to Earth. None survived. Those words spread across the stars, carried as a warning. For the first time, other civilizations would hear of humanity, not as prey, not as victims, but as predators, a species that fought like fire and could not be broken. In one village, a young boy stood on the ruins of his home. He looked up at the stars, his fists clenched, his eyes burning. He whispered, "If they come again, we will be ready." His voice was quiet, but it carried the spirit of all humanity. That spirit could not be erased, could not be conquered. It was the same spirit that had turned a divided world into a united force. The galaxy had learned something new, that Earth was no easy target, that humans, though fragile in body, carried unshakable hearts, that survival made them dangerous, that unity made them unstoppable, and that fury made them the most fearsome enemy of all. Years would pass, and Earth would rebuild. Cities would rise from the rubble, new weapons would be forged. Children would grow, carrying the stories of the war in their blood. They would never forget the invasion, and they would never forgive it. From now on, humanity would look to the stars not with fear, but with determination. Because if the galaxy was filled with conquerors, then Earth would become the world that conquerors feared. The last words of the resistance became the first law of the new age. They came to conquer Earth, but humanity made sure none survived. And so history was written not as a tale of defeat, but as the day when humanity became something greater. Not prey, not victims, not survivors, but hunters, guardians, and warriors of the stars.